Hey everyone, this is Walt from Mouse Talk, back with a brand new video. Now just the other day, our partner channel, Steve from Stevesworld, tagged us to do a Marvel movie tag. Really fun tag, and I'm glad he tagged us to do it because I really wanted to do this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now here's how the tag works. It's going to be 4 different categories, and you have to give them your top 5. It'll be our top 5 Marvel characters, our top 5 Marvel villains, our top 5 Marvel scenes, and then finally our top 5 Marvel movies. Now I'll try to make this video as fast as I can for you guys, but I just want to explain too some of the reasons why I picked these things, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments at the end. Let me know what you think of my picks and some of your picks as well. And then again, if you are new here to our channel and this is the first time, welcome in. We appreciate you being here. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. That way every time we go live or do a new video or go live on our live streams on Tuesday nights, you'll be notified and you won't miss us. And we're glad you're here, and also give us a thumbs up. It definitely helps the video and shows you care. But let's get right into this tag. Let's start with our top 5 characters. So number 5 for me on my characters is Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson, Natasha Romanoff, love the character. First female character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very powerful, just fantastic, wonderful character. Lots of martial arts. She's fantastic. She's got a backstory, which we're finally going to get in her movie that's coming up. I just love it. Love her. I think she's fantastic. She's great, great, great. And she's number 5 on my list is Black Widow. Great character for sure. Number 4 for me is Iron Man. Now I know for a lot of people Iron Man's going to be a lot higher, but for me he's number 4. I really enjoy Tony Stark. He's not my favorite character, obviously, that's why he's number 4. There are things about Tony I don't like, but I think Tony overall is a great guy. He means well, he means, you know, to do the best for people. He's a good guy, and I like Tony a lot. He's fantastic. He's very smart, very funny. And he's a great character for sure. And he was number 1. He was the first one. He was the first movie we got. And that's why he makes my list. That's Tony Stark, Iron Man. Just a great character. So smart, so funny. He's great. And of course, in the end, he's the guy that does the snap that saves everybody. Number 3 for me, and this is going to be a funny one for a lot of people. You're probably going to shake your head. But for me, number 3 is Heimdall from Thor. The Gatekeeper, the Guardian of Asgard. I really enjoyed that character. Idris Elba does a great Heimdall. I remember when I went and saw Thor for the first time, I was like, wow, this character is fantastic. I love him. And I actually wish they showed more of him in these movies. He's not, I mean, he's a supporting character, so he's not the main character. He's not going to have a ton of parts, but I love him. I think he's a great character. He goes well, and he's just one of my favorites. I love his dialogue. And he's awesome for me. And I know that's a head scratcher for some people, but he's number 3 for me. And that's the one thing I'll say. A lot of times, some of the characters I like are not necessarily all the main characters. Sometimes they're supporting characters. And speaking of supporting characters, number 2 on my list, we're going to stick with Thor, is Odin. King Odin, Thor's dad, played by Anthony Hopkins. I absolutely love him. I think he's wonderful. He does fantastic stuff in these movies. His dialogue with Thor is great. I love the chemistry. He's a great king. You know, he's a great dad. He's not perfect. You know, he makes mistakes, but he does his best to teach his children. He loves them. He's always there for them. He seems to always have the answers. He's awesome. I love his character. And could you pick a better Odin than Anthony Hopkins? He's awesome for sure. So there you go. Number 2 for me is Odin. And number 1, I think anybody that knows me, you know who's going to be number 1 on my list. He's just the quintessential good guy. He's fantastic. I love the character, and that's Captain America. I love the good guys. I've always loved the good guys. I've never been a person that likes the bad guys. I like it when the good guy wins. You know, the bad guys win in real life too often, and we have too many bad guys. And I like it when the good guy does the right thing and wins and is the goody two-shoes. As corny as that might sound, you know, I enjoy that. I don't necessarily have to relate to him because I don't want to be relatable. I want him to be the guy that does the right thing all the time. And, you know, I go to the movies to get away from real life. And I love Captain America. I think he's great. He's not perfect. You know, he makes mistakes too. But I think overall his character is amazing. I think he's a good character for kids to look up to. And I just love him. I love the dialogue with him. He's just awesome. And Chris Evans plays a great Captain America. He's my favorite. And his chemistry with Peggy Carter is wonderful. His feud with Iron Man is epic and kind of hard to watch at times, but Captain America is number one for me. He's the guy. He's the big guy for sure. So there you go. Now again, my top 5: Black Widow, Iron Man, Heimdall, Odin, and Captain America. Now let's move on to one that I think is a lot of fun, and that's our top 5 MCU villains. Again, some of these that are on my list may be ones that you scratch your head at, but for me, they're ones I like. So number 5 for me, and I have my little cheat sheet, that's why I'm looking down. Number 5 for me is Red Skull. I love Red Skull. I think he's a great villain. Hugo Weaving played a fantastic villain. He's the head of Hydra for sure. And of course, everybody knows who Hydra is. It's probably the big bad in most of these movies. And it's just, he's fantastic. He's Cap's number 1 villain. And it's just a great role. And he's in the first Avenger movie. And he's awesome. I love Red Skull. Really cool looking too. He's a good bad guy for sure. Number 4, again, one that probably most people won't remember or think of, but I really like Abomination. He was in the Incredible Hulk movie, and that was the movie where Hulk was played by Edward Norton. But Abomination, first off, it's a great name for a villain, is Abomination. And he's just awesome in this movie. I think it's played by Tim Roth, and you can correct me in comments if I'm wrong. He does a really good job in the role, and when he becomes Abomination, he looks so cool. And he's like almost equal to Hulk in strength and size. Just a great character. I love Abomination. That's why he's number 4. Number 3. Again, probably a bad guy most people won't think of, but for me, I think he's really, really cool. We're going to go back all the way to the first Iron Man, and it's Obadiah. Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges. Love that bad guy. Highly intelligent. He's a friend of Tony's, so he's somebody that kind of double crosses him, backstabs him. A friend of his and his dad's, but he's out for power, he's out for revenge, and he's the guy that ultimately tried to take Tony down, and he's just a great bad guy, and Jeff Bridges plays him fantastically, and he almost beats Iron Man in the first movie. He makes his own Iron Man suit, and he's just awesome. I love him. He's a great bad guy. Obadiah Stane. Number 3. Number 2 for me is probably going to be number 1 for most people on this list if you're doing this tag. But for me, he's number 2. But he is the big bad. He's the guy. He's the one that all this first half of these 10 movies is about. And of course, that's Thanos. Josh Brolin plays a fantastic Thanos. Perfect casting. I couldn't have thought of anybody else that would have done a better job. The voice is just perfect for the role. His mannerisms, his dialogue, his facial expressions. Just awesome. Josh Brolin is spot on in this role. Thanos is so bad, and what makes it worse is he thinks what he's doing is right. He thinks that this is going to help the universe, make the universe better. And those are the worst kinds of villains, are the ones that actually think they're doing something that's right. But he's played fantastic. He's ruthless. He's strong. He's powerful, and he beats the Avengers. He wins. Ultimately, he does win at first. And he's such a great villain. And that's number 2 for me is Thanos. But number 1, and this one a lot of people are probably going to scratch their heads at, and I really think they could have gone a lot further with this character. But he wasn't around too long, but he was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and that's Ronan. Ronan the Accuser. I love Ronan. I thought he was a great character for sure. He was played by Lee Pace. Love the voice. He just was really, really awesome. So ruthless, so incredibly scary at times. He just wanted what he wanted. He was awesome. I just love his character for sure. I mean, he was one of the only people that would back talk to Thanos, for crying out loud. His dialogue, that one scene when he has with Thanos when he goes and visits him, is awesome. He's just a great bad guy. I wish they would have had him in there a little bit more. We see him a little bit in Captain Marvel, but I love Ronan. I think Ronan the Accuser is just such a great bad guy, and he's my favorite, and that's why he's number 1. So there you go. My top 5 again: Red Skull, Abomination, Obadiah Stane, Thanos, and last but not least, number 1, Ronan the Accuser. I love Ronan. Again, let me get back to my list here. And now we're going to talk about our top 5 scenes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So again, for me, a lot of people, those best scenes are going to be the ones that are probably the big scenes, the ones that are the epic scenes in all the different movies, the battles, this, the that. Not necessarily for me. A lot of times with me, it's going to be some scenes that are a lot less subtle, but have more meaning, at least meaning to me. There'll be a few in here that you'll see that are big scenes, but some of these are also very subtle scenes, and I just enjoy them. There's something about them that kind of just rubs me the right way, and I really enjoy it. And I'll go back and watch these specific scenes. So number 5 for me, we're going to go to Thor, the very first Thor movie. It's the end of the movie, and it's the scene where everything has happened, and it's the very end, and Thor goes and talks to his dad as Odin's looking out into Asgard, and Thor comes up from behind, and they're talking, and Thor says, maybe one day I'll be a great king, and maybe make you proud, and Odin says, you've already made me proud. And I just really enjoy that scene as a dad who has sons. I can connect well with that scene. I really enjoy it. I just think it's a very important scene. Thor finally realizes what it takes to be a king, and all this time he thinks his dad's not proud of him, and he is. And I like that scene. I think that's an emotional scene, and it's a good one for sure. So check that out. And I'll try to put some of these scenes down below so you guys can see them. Number 4 for me, and again, this is another one of those subtle scenes that a lot of people don't think about, but it's one of my favorite scenes. It's in Age of Ultron. And it's the scene right after Ultron becomes Ultron, and they have the quick battle in Stark Tower there. Thor comes back, and he talks about how he lost the trail. And Tony and Cap are kind of talking, and Tony's talking about, that's the end game up there. And I think he says something like, we can bust arms dealers all the live long day, but up there, that's the end game. How do you expect to beat it? And Cap says, together. And Tony says, we'll lose. And Cap goes, well, then we'll do that together too. I just really love that scene. I just think that's great. That's great back and forth between the two of them, and I think it's one of Cap's best lines for sure. And it's brought up again in Endgame, if you remember. Tony kind of talks about it, but it's true. And he says, we'll do that together too. And it's just awesome that, he always thinks about the team and being together, and I just love it. I think it's such a great scene, and that's why I like it. So that's why it's number 4. Number 3, and again, I'm a big Cap fan, so he's probably going to be in a few of these scenes, but number 3 for me is when Cap lifts Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. We see it in Endgame finally, in that last scene when Cap is there, and Thor's getting beat down by Thanos, and Thanos is about to kill him, and you see Mjolnir lift up by itself, and then it flies by Thanos and hits him, and then flies by him again, and Cap grabs it and holds it. It's just a validation of the person that Captain America is, in my opinion. And it was such a great scene for us Cap fans, because it did validate that he was worthy. One of the only ones that was such a good person that he was worthy to be able to lift that Mjolnir. It's just fantastic. I love that scene, and he uses it, and even Thor, he's like, I knew it. And that was kind of a reference back to when they had in Ultron, when they were all trying to lift it, and Cap kind of budged it a little bit. It was a neat scene. I love that scene when he lifts it. It's such a validation, and it's one of my favorites. Number 2, and of course the last 2 are kind of big scenes, and we're going to go to Civil War, Captain America Civil War, and we're going to do the airport scene. That airport scene between Tony's team and Cap's team when they're fighting each other, it's so awesome. It's such a next level battle. First off, you're seeing good guy versus good guy, which is kind of mind-blowing in and of itself. But the different dialogue and the different scenes and the different, individual battles are so much fun. Not fun, that's probably not even the right word to use, but they're so engaging and so riveting, and you're really into the moment. But the dialogue's great, and there's some jokes in there too, they throw them in. But what puts it over the top for me, that made it such a great scene, is when Ant-Man became Giant Man. We finally got to see him as Giant Man, and it was just, it had everything. It was such a great scene, and it was awesome, and that's why it's number 2 for me. The airport scene in Civil War. And then last but not least, and I think this is a lot of people's number 1, and it's definitely my number 1 as well, it's Endgame, and it's the porthole scene. It's at the end of Endgame. Cap's out. I'm not Cap. Tony's out of it. Thor's down and out. Cap's standing alone. Just got beat down by Thanos, and Thanos has now unleashed all of his army, and they're coming. And Cap's standing there alone. And then all of a sudden, over the intercom, you hear Falcon, and he says, "Cap, can you hear me?" And then he says, on your left. And you see the first porthole open, and out comes Black Panther, which is really cool. And then you see all the other portholes open, and then they're all coming through. All the good guys are there, and they finally got the backup they needed. And you're like, thank you, finally, everybody's here to they're all there for them. And I think it's such a great scene. And I took it as a way of Marvel saying to the original characters, here's these new characters, we've got this moving forward, we're here for you, we'll take it from here. And that's kind of how I took it. And it's just a great scene, and that whole end scene is fantastic. So there you go, that's my top 5 scenes. We have the Odin and Thor talking scene from Thor. We have Cap and Tony talking in Age of Ultron. We have Cap lifting Mjolnir in Endgame. The airport scene in Civil War. And last but certainly not least, my number 1, Endgame porthole scene when all the characters come back to fight Thanos in the end. And then finally, my top 5 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And again, this is hard because there's so many great ones, but these are the ones I like. So number 5 for me is Civil War. I love Civil War. It's one of my favorite movies. Look, a lot of these are probably going to be Captain America movies. I really enjoy Cap's movies. But Civil War is number 5 for me. Lots of times there's certain scenes in that movie that are hard to watch, especially the end when Cap and Tony are fighting basically to the death. That was really hard to watch, but it's such a great movie. It's so important to the cinematic universe. It sets so many things up. I love it. I just think it's a great movie for sure. Number 4 is Iron Man, the very first Iron Man. It's the movie that sets the stage for all the others. It was done so well. I didn't know anything about Iron Man. I didn't know who he was. And it was so great. And Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. was fantastic in the role. They had a great bad guy. I love Iron Man. That's why it's number 4. Number 3 for me is Infinity War. Unlike any other Marvel Cinematic Universe movie we've ever had. So epic on every scale. Thanos is finally introduced. He basically runs the table on all the Avengers. And we finally see the Avengers lose. It's so shocking. But it's a great movie and it's done really, really well. But number 2 is Endgame, the follow-up to Infinity War. It was kind of a thank you postcard note to the fans, I felt. We got flashbacks, we got old characters coming back for cameos, we got some redemption scenes, we got some validation scenes, we got epic scenes, we got everything in this movie. And in the end, it was just great. I mean, the good guys win. It's a fantastic ending to the first 10 years. I love Endgame. But that's my number 2. My number 1, I still think it's the best Marvel movie. It was a game changer. It was shocking in a lot of ways. It was basically like a spy movie in a lot of ways to me, and that is Captain America Winter Soldier. I thought Winter Soldier was probably the best cinematic movie for me in a lot of different ways. Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D's actually bad when we think they're good. It was such a game changer. S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be the good guys, and yet they've been infiltrated by Hydra. It changed everything. We had Robert Redford was a bad guy in this movie. We thought that Nick Fury was dead. Captain America's being sought after by S.H.I.E.L.D. now. It was just a great movie. Winter Soldier, Bucky's back and he's fighting his best friend. It was just a game changer in so many different ways. It was done very, very well. I just loved it. It felt like a spy movie in a lot of ways, and it was just awesome. It's my favorite for sure. The action, the story it told was fantastic, and it kind of changed things moving forward as to the ambiguity and gray areas on everything. What you think is one thing really may not be. And it's my number 1. And that's why I love it so, so much. And that's Captain America Winter Soldier. So again, my top 5, Civil War, Iron Man, Infinity War, Endgame, Winter Soldier. So finally, there you go, folks. That's my Marvel movie tag. And again, I thank you if you hung in there the whole time. Thank you for still being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. But now it's out to you. I do want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this. Let me know maybe some of your favorites in one of these different categories. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you are new here, and this is your first time, welcome in. Again, please consider subscribing. Just hit that subscribe button and that bell notification every time we go live or do a new video. You won't miss it. You'll be notified. And also, if you could, please give us a thumbs up. It definitely shows you care. We'd appreciate it. And other than that, guys, be sure to check out our partner channels. We have Disney Dan and Stevesworld. Of course, Stevesworld is the guy that tagged me in this video, so I appreciate that, Steve. So be sure to check those guys out. Their links are in the description below. And then other than that, guys, thank you again for joining me. I know this was kind of a lengthy video, but I definitely appreciate it. I enjoyed it. I'm going to tag 2 people. I am going to tag Dole Whip Dad. I am tagging him, and I am tagging Disney Dan, my other partner channel. So those 2 guys will be tagged. I will send them out a message to make sure they see it in case they don't see this video. I think they will, but just in case. Be sure to check those guys out as well. And then other than that, folks, just take care of yourselves and each other, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.